El Reporter, yeah, okay. Bilingual paper.
Okay. To start off with, can I have your full name, your occupation, and your birth date?
My name is Carlos Puente, and I was a teacher for 18 years of my last work career. Prior to that, I worked at various city administration and also in the planning department of the region, and also worked at the medical school as an aide or an assistant to the president of the medical school.
Okay. And where is your family from, whether it's anywhere in the U.S. or another country?
My parents came from Mexico. My mother and father met near Houston, and they married there in Houston. But they're both from Mexico.
Do you know what part of Mexico?
Yes, my mom was from roughly Gomez Palacio in the state of Nuevo León, and then my dad was from no, I don't remember the name, but it was, well, he grew up in Monterrey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he wasn't from Torreon?
No.
Okay, because I thought you were going to say Torreon.
No. My mom was from Torreon because Gomez Palacio is right across the river from Torreon.
And they immigrated both of them immigrated to the U.S. separately, correct?
Yes, they did.
And then they immigrated to South Texas, or?
No, basically, I think they immigrated to the Houston area. Okay. And it just so happened that they met in, they both worked, I want to say, for a Japanese family that ran a vegetable garden type of farm in the Houston area, Webster, Texas. That's where they met.
Okay. And then from there they moved to Fort Worth.
No. They went to Galveston and lived the rest of their lives in Galveston, had their children there. My oldest sibling was my brother. He passed away. He was born in Webster. And then the rest of the family, 3 girls, and then me, the youngest, were born in Galveston.
Okay. And so you're the one who left Galveston.
I'm the one that left Galveston.
Okay. And when did you leave you left Galveston where to?
To attend North Texas State University. Back then it was North Texas State in Denton. My wife and I moved up there, stayed whatever time it took to finish school. And in 1971 is the time that we actually moved to Fort Worth, from Denton here to Fort Worth.
And what year did you move to Denton?
Let's see. I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Well, that's fine. I just want to get a little bit of how you ended up in Fort Worth.
Right.
You went to Denton, you majored in what?
Political science.
Okay. Yeah. And then you came to work for the city of Fort Worth?
Yes. I was an intern with the city of Fort Worth in the city planning department.
And then you got, did you get a more permanent job?
Well, I was working in the planning department on an internship while I was doing my master's degree at UTA in urban affairs. And that's where I got my master's degree. And from there, I went to, my wife and I had moved to the north side already. I went to work for, I'm sorry, I can't remember that.
Okay, that's fine. So here in Fort Worth, you lived in the north side?
Yes. Most of all our lives, really, living in Fort Worth. We recently moved south, but we lived in the north side a total of about 20 or 25 years.
Okay. And so you raised your family in the north side?
Yes.
And what schools did they attend, your children?
They attended the elementary school that was named Circle Park Elementary School now. I mean, back then, now it's Manuel Jara Elementary School. And then J.P. Eldred Junior High, or middle school, they all attended that school. And then they came here to Northside High School and graduated from here.
Okay. And just so we could get it on camera, where did your children go to college?
The eldest son, Jimmy, didn't go to college, but he got a trade, a very good trade. And he has a business, cabinetry business that he established. And the other 2 boys, they both went to Baylor University. And our daughter went to Dallas Baptist University.
And did any one of your sons go to school in San Antonio?
Yes, our youngest, next to the oldest son, went. He did his biology preparation degree to go to medical school. He was admitted to medical school in San Antonio, and that's where he got his medical degree from.
Where does he practice medicine?
He practices in Sinton, Texas, which is near Corpus Christi.
Okay, and your other children who are teachers, they teach here in the Fort Worth area, correct?
Yes, they do. Oh, I'm sorry. Our daughter teaches in San Antonio.
Okay.
Our
correct.
son teaches in Dallas.
Okay, thank you for that. And since we're talking about your children already, can I have the names of your children, if that's okay?
Yeah. The eldest is Jimmy. Next to the eldest is Joseph. And then the youngest son is Juan. And then our daughter's named Lisa. Actually, Elisa. And we call her Lisa.
Okay. And did you go to any churches in the north side that you belong to?
Yes, we did. When I met my wife, I was a very strong Roman Catholic, and we married, and we had our different faiths, the same faith really, but different in a way.
Different way of practicing it?
Exactly. And we went to All Saints Church here in the north side, and then I converted. I became a born-again Christian, and I became a member of Primera Baptist Church here on the north side also.
Okay. And do you still drive to that church, or do you attend another church?
Yeah, well, we moved away far south side, but we are still Protestant and Baptist.
Okay. And can I ask what church you attend now?
We're not members yet, but we're thinking of joining Garden Acres Baptist Church in Burleson.
Thank you. And going back to your parents, what were your parents' names?
My dad's name was Genaro, Genaro, and my mom's name was Guadalupe. Everybody called her Lupe or Lupita.
And what was your mother's maiden name?
Oh, I think it was Mendoza, if I'm not mistaken.
And their occupation was farm work before they came?
When they first came, yes, they worked for a Japanese family that raised vegetables, etc., near Houston, and I'm sure that was their market. My dad worked there, and my mom, I think she helped clean a house for a middle-class family there.
And once they moved to Galveston, when did they work in Galveston?
In Galveston, the big draw for employment was working on the wharves, working on the docks. And since my father did not have an education, that was the primary employment of many Mexican Americans and some black men, I'm sure. Many black men are African Americans that they went to work at a good pay for that day and time. Worked very hard, unloading ships and loading ships.
And how many siblings did you have?
I have 3.
And
I'm sorry, 4.
4. Can you tell me their names?
My oldest sibling, the oldest in the family, was Gennaro Jr. I don't know that he used Junior, but it was Gennaro. Everybody knew him as Gennaro, or GP.
Yeah, is that Genaro in Spanish?
Yeah, Gennaro. And then my oldest sister is Mary, and she passed away not long. Both my oldest brother, or my brother, and my oldest sister have passed away. And the next, in terms of age, is a sister that lives in the Galveston area, and another sister, Becky, lives in the Galveston area also. The second girl is named Billy, Avelina.
And did they, for the most part, stay in the Galveston area?
Yes.
Okay. And what organizations did you belong to once you moved? Well, you can speak before you moved to Fort Worth, but what organizations did you belong to, and what was your involvement in them here in Fort Worth?
The involvement I was in Denton primarily was in the political science groups. I don't know if we had any Hispanic organizations. It was a rising of the Chicano movement. So there were other students who were my age, and we would, get together and families and try to see what's going on in the political arena.
And was there a Chicano movement at UNT that you remember, or UTA?
I'm sure there was. At UTA, I was in graduate school, so I really did not get involved much on campus. At North Texas State, there was not, to my recollection, a Chicano group. It was more political science majors.
Okay. And do you remember the African-American, Mexican-American relations at UTA or UNT? Was there on-campus relations? For example, the groups you were in, did African-Americans and Mexican-Americans collaborate or talk what their problems were in politics?
I don't recall that there were many meetings together. I'm sure they participated with some meetings, but of course I didn't attend all the meetings.
Okay.
So I can't really verify that.
And what community organizations were you a member of here?
Here, this is where we really became involved with the community. When we first arrived, we lived on Lincoln Avenue, and we lived there all the time we lived in Fort Worth. And the organizations primarily were well, back then there was a community action agency, and I worked in various centers there, social services. And then I went to work also for I'm sorry.
No.
I worked in the planning department, I said that already, the city, and the I got
No,
remember.
don't worry. Do you want to go on to the next question, or
Yes.
do you want to look over your notes? Next
Oh,
question?
no, I didn't really write that down.
Okay, then that's
Yeah.
fine, don't worry.
Okay.
And, okay. Well, that's really towards the end of the interview already, but you said Familias Unidas?
Familias Unidas, right.
What did you do in the organization, and what was the organization?
I helped organize it, and the neighborhood primarily was called La Loma, far north side, and the family members that participated were very helpful in getting this organized.
Okay. You were part of the Republican National Hispanic Association?
Assembly, the
Okay.
last word.
And so you were an assembly member for that?
Yeah, that participation came later in my community activities.
Okay.
So the original ones were Familias Unidas. Then there was a neighborhood Northside Neighborhood Association, which encompassed this area,
Okay.
and those three primary organizations.
And are they still around, do you know?
I know the Northside Neighborhood Association is. Familias Unidas, no, it's not anymore.
Okay.
And the RNHA, which I should say short for Republican National Hispanic Assembly, is still in functioning.
Okay. And I'm guessing that's a national association?
Yes.
The chapter here?
Right, right.
Okay. And do you want to add anything else before we end the conversation that you feel that's important that we haven't covered yet?
I thought the purpose was to educate not only college students, but younger people. I've not been a teacher all my life, but I grew up in the neighborhood where the Mexican Americans, many of them dropped out. And I'm not blaming it on them, but I also dropped out in the 8th grade. And the environment was not that good in the neighborhood, so I moved for a while, moved away to Ohio, where I had a sister.
Okay. I think that's our missing link, I guess, that we didn't cover. But did you go back to school in Ohio?
No, but when I went up there, I entered the Marine Corps, and I was, I took a course by correspondence from University of Texas at Austin in English, and I passed it well and got credit for it. So I thought, when I get back, I'll go to college.
Okay.
So, and the captain who interviewed me before I didn't sign the paper to re-enlist, said, your kind don't make it to college or don't succeed in college much. That was really a slap in Hispanic's character.
And so I guess you didn't get a high school degree.
No.
But so how did it work that you were able to apply for college?
I got my GED.
Okay, while you were in the military?
No, actually in Galveston. There was a teacher
Okay.
who taught those of us who had dropped out at her house. And, I took the test and passed my GED. So I have a GED diploma for high school.
And did you go to college with the GI Bill?
Yes, I did.
Great. And there was something, I must have lost track, where I got really interested.
That's okay.
But how did you, once you were already here in Fort Worth, how did you go from working in businesses and for the city to being a teacher?
As far as being with governmental agencies, and I served at that time with the Texas College of Osteopathic Medicine here, and then the change to being a teacher was because I wanted to go into teaching because I knew a lot of young people from the neighborhood and other places that trend was still there, that they only went to a certain grade and then they would drop out. So I wanted to help in that respect. So I started to get a provisional teacher certificate. I already had 2 degrees, so I didn't need to get another degree, but I just went through the program. I think it was sponsored by TCU. You would get your teacher certification by taking these courses, education courses, which I had never taken. So once I did that and passed the test for being a teacher, getting my teaching certificate or license, that's when I really got into it. My first teaching job was at a middle school here in Fort Worth.
Do you remember the name of the middle school?
Yes, it was McLean Middle School.
And where did you teach in more schools after that?
After I left McLean, I went to teach in Arlington for 1 year with Arlington ISD in Martin High School. And at my age, changing careers, my wife and I, family, I realized to get a retirement, I really need to get into a higher paying position. So I worked on my administrative certification to be an administrator, assistant principal.
Okay.
And that's what how I became an assistant principal at a high school in Arlington.
And what was it Arlington High School?
Yes, Arlington High School.
Well, thank you for that explanation. I was just wondering all the several life transitions.
Yes, yes.
Well, I think maybe there we can end, but is there anything else you would like to add that we haven't spoken about?
Not really. No.
Well, thank you for the interview.
Okay, you're welcome. Joel.